From car parts to avocados, whiskey, and oranges, welcome to the new battleground of geopolitics. President Trump's decision to impose tariffs on American allies and rivals has sparked a weekend of retaliation. Canada has announced its own tariffs, Mexico has warned of potential action, and China is set to take its case to the World Trade Organization. But for the White House, it's time to double down. The issue with this whole idea of retaliation is that these countries have been taking advantage of America for decades. Retaliation means Donald Trump is saying, no more. So what has President Trump signed? The tariffs are imposed on America's three largest trading blocs neighboring Mexico and Canada, as well as China, accounting for more than 40% of imports into the United States. Starting on Tuesday, goods from Canada and Mexico will face a 25% levy, with Canadian energy subject to a 10% tariff. Chinese imports will face a 10% levy. The president hopes these tariffs will reduce America's trade deficit, the difference between imports and exports, with the U.S. currently buying far more products than it sells to these countries. Data for 2024 puts that figure at over $480 billion. There's politics at play too. The U.S. government wants tariffs to force countries to curb immigration at the border and end drug trafficking, particularly the passage of fentanyl. I am glad we're pushing back against China and Mexico when it comes to fentanyl poisoning America. I'm glad we're putting everyone on notice that the old way of doing business is over, Trump said. As Mexico prepares retaliatory tariffs, President Claudia Sheinbaum spoke today with Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who announced a 25% tax on U.S. goods worth billions, warning Americans of the costs. Tariffs against Canada will put your jobs at risk, potentially shutting down American auto assembly plants and other manufacturing facilities. They will raise costs for you, Trudeau said. With Canada set to tax imports like Florida orange juice and Tennessee whiskey, Ottawa is targeting goods from Republican states, sending a message to Trump's allies in Congress, where some senators are wary about a trade war. The president is unfazed, writing today that while there may be some pain for Americans without U.S. subsidies, Canada would cease to exist and become the United States' 51st state. For President Trump, this is about the blunt force of tariffs to push through his agenda, one that's always been about countering China. Secretary of State Marco Rubio was in Panama today on his first trip abroad, focusing on Latin America. The Trump team believes China's growing dominance in its own backyard needs to be curbed, with Beijing having too much control over the Panama Canal. The White House says, with China's economy dependent on its exports, a trade war is not something they want. Today was Groundhog Day in America, where Punxsutawney Phil predicts weather will have an early or late spring. With this just the first weekend of a looming trade battle, and Trump threatening tariffs on the European Union, it's no wonder Groundhog Phil predicted a long winter ahead. Get ready for 6 more weeks of winter this year.